Hello and welcome to Grandstand Hockey. Thanks for your company. I'm Martin Cudahy, and joining me in commentary today is Andrew McDonald. And Macca, today Northwest Grads got the wobbles.
Well, they have. Defensively, they've got some big problems. The last two games that they've played, they got beaten, smashed in many regards by Derwent. And last week they played against Canterbury and were 3-0 down at half-time and ended up losing the game 5-3. So they've had a real shock to the system.
And they're playing OHA this week, so OHA also been having a bit of shaky form.
Well, they drew with Wales last week, and that probably would have been an upset for Daniel Sproul, the coach. But look, I think they're a team that have the potential of playing pretty reasonable hockey in the finals, but there's no doubt that they'll have to play pretty well today, and the player who's probably going to cause some problems for them is maybe Sam McCambridge.
Well, that's right, he has been dangerous up forward. Let's take a look at the ladder so far this season, though. What can you tell us these teams not at the top?
Well, no, in OHA, really they need to try and get as many points as they can over the next couple of weeks to secure a spot. Basically, they want to try and get in a situation where they're not playing against Derwent. If they finish fourth, they have to play Derwent in the elimination first semi-final. So really for them, they want to get above University. If they do that, then they give themselves a good chance of having another crack against Northwest Grads.
And if they end up facing Derwent in the finals, we all know what a tough task that's going to be.
Well, the form at the moment for Derwent is pretty ominous, so they would be trying to avoid finishing in that spot.
Let's take a look at the teams as they line up this afternoon. Northwest Grads and Hamish McGregor at the back, James Burke.
Well, James Burke, pretty good in the middle there, and he'll have to be busy today. But Hamish McGregor, he's the one, I suppose, at the moment. He's in the National Junior squad, but, he's conceded some goals over the last couple of weeks. So, really, there's a question mark there. But I think, really, the coach, Stephen McMullen, he'll be asking his defence, in particular Nick Budgeon and Tim Stevens, to make sure that they plug any holes in the boat, because at the moment, they're in danger of the boat sinking.
And there we go, OHA's list. Sam McCambridge, he's the one we've spoken about, been scoring quite a few goals.
Well, I've got a lot of time for Sam McCambridge. I like his vigour, I like his intensity, I like his purpose, and he's got a little bit of, he's getting there and he likes a bit of the physical stuff, and I think he's always exciting to watch. And, sometimes he reminds us a little bit of Tim Deaven, and sometimes he just gets in there and he really throws himself, and sometimes he goes off course. But really, he's a talented player, and today, Daniel Sproul playing at the back, I think they've got the mechanics that could cause some problems today for Northwest Grads.
Daniel Sproul, dual Olympian, captain, coach. I think there's a lot on his shoulders this afternoon. For what's happening on the boundary, though, let's head down now to Vanessa McDonald.
Well, guys, it's beautiful and sunny down here. Great conditions for today's game. Interesting comments from both coaches today. I spoke to Daniel Sproul. He is really keen on getting a point today. Very crucial to stay in the top four. He wants to work on their basics and really put Northwest Grads under pressure, keep possession and build up. Where Stephen McMullen was quite concerned with their new lineup, as you spoke, with Daniel Sproul sweeping at the back. They want to play with width and really stay away from him, keep down the right-hand side. They want to play accountability hockey, and they want to really put a lot of pressure on, but it should be a really interesting fighting for points here, so it should be a thrilling game.
Thanks very much, Vanessa. Yes, we're very much looking forward to it up here, and Vanessa's joining us on the sideline today because Angie Ockenden, half a luck, she's in Beijing.
Yes, well, she can enjoy the smog over there. They don't have that, but how fantastic it would be for her to watch her son, Eddie, play for Australia and the other Tasmanian boys that are away at the moment. I saw a picture yesterday of David Guest, and he had his arm around Princess Mary at the welcoming party, and good on you, Guesty. He's having a ball over there, and he's worked hard to get there, and Wellesley, triple Olympian, so yeah, it should be good fun for them over there, but I reckon I'd rather be here. Fun?
I reckon I'd rather be here too this afternoon. We've got a great... Well, we're hoping it's going to be great because we think it's going to be tight because both of these teams have a lot to play for, really.
Well, and, we sort of said in the intro about how the topsy-turvy form in some regards of Northwest Grads, and that man there, Hamish McGregor, well, he's conceded a number of goals in the last couple of weeks, and, I know Stephen McMullen spent a fair bit of time thinking about their defence, and really it's time for him to make sure that defensively today they're in the right spot at the right time, and there's some good coordination because really they've lacked some communication, some cohesion defensively, and that's where the problems have stemmed.
We spoke about Northwest Grads having the wobbles, but OHA, there's a lot riding on this game for them. As you mentioned, that fourth spot up against Derwent, it will be tough. So OHA looking to possibly leapfrog University in the next couple of weeks.
Yep, and that man that was on screen there, number 23 for OHA, David Wolford, it's important for him to keep his head cool today because he can be a player that can really break teams, and if he can play well today, he can have a big influence.
First up, we see OHA with the ball. Mistrap there, so Ben Florence will bring it back in for Northwest Grabs. Stevens is with it now. He's got his head up. He's looking for where to go. He sends it forward. Burke knocks it on for Florence. Florence goes forward, but it's knocked out of play there by Jake Morton for OHA. Florence brings it back in. Good signs early on here from Northwest Grads.
Yeah, interesting to see that Richardson's already got a touch in the game. He's a player that there's no doubt that the OHA defence will have to be wary of. He's got that innocuous ability of being able to get in there and get in the wrong place at the right time.
Cambridge has ended up with a green card already. We spoke about him possibly having a bit of a hot head as we see Ben Florence has possession now. He sends it forward. It's been picked up inside by Richardson. He's just good tackle, but I think there's an injury there. John O'Salt, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether he actually collected a knee with Marcus Richardson or whether it was just a change of direction and his knees potentially shifted in a way that it shouldn't have. Look at his right leg there. Yeah, he sort of almost jarred it, really. So he's just sort of jarred his knee. There might have been a patch of dry turf there. Sometimes that happens, especially when you're against a player who can change direction very quickly. And we know that Marcus Richardson can do that.
Good news is John O'Salt's up and he's walking it out. So Northwest Grads to bring it back into play here. Ball sent inside the circle, is flicked up though.
Well, penalty corner for Northwest Grads, and this is where it becomes a real headache for Aaron Williams because he really doesn't have too many other players in the OHA team that on a regular basis he gets an opportunity to train against a good penalty corner flicker. Here's the deflection, up in the air, plays made dangerous, and umpire Brian Knight awards the penalty corner to Northwest Grads. So will it be Budgeon or will it be Toby West?
So we see Northwest Grads setting themselves for this one. A lot of work for Williams here. Ball's in, it's trapped, it's taken by Budgeon. Budgeon gets a deflection, so it's gone away from goal and looks like Burke's going to pick it up. He sends it back. Northwest Grads still in possession, looking for a way forward here.
Yeah, good work there from Warren Lucas.
Northwest Grads still on the attack here.
I think that's an important part for Northwest Grads to get James Peters up the park. Even though he's playing a fullback, he should be looking to involve himself inside the attacking 25.
Headlam with a bit of work to do. It's gone back though, so Ben Florence will pick it up at the back.
I'm not sure that I'd want to do that too often in front of Sam McCambridge. He's quite willing and will throw his body at it. So Ben Florence had a testing time there.
So OHA's first real attacking press here. Sent back into play. It's gone forward. Inside the circle now. OHA with a real opportunity to score here. There's plenty of bodies around the ball though.
Yeah, Angus Bolton couldn't control the ball along the baseline there and tried to get him behind Tim Stevens and James Peters, but they protected their feet reasonably well. Here he is here, just drags the ball back, trying to find the foot of Tim Stevens, but he protects his feet. And Warren Lucas again, always there and about, and clears it up.
Going forward now is Morton for OHA. He sends it inside the circle, but it'll be cleaned up. Northwest Grads equal to the task there.
Yeah, surprising to see Warren Lucas run the ball out of the defensive 25 there. It's a sign that he's quite confident.
Burke streaming ahead now.
Well, that would have been quite an interesting test, I would have thought, Martin, to see Daniel Sproul chase down James Burke. I'm pretty sure he would have caught him.
Still got plenty of toe. West has it now. Sends it in. Burke was there, but he wasn't in the right place. It was at the right time, though.
Well, it was a good cross. The idea was to try and get the deflection across. Toby West doing a full press there and stealing the ball from Jonathan Salt. And Aaron Williams come off his line, but James Burke, the timing just wasn't right there.
Florence to bring it back. It's with Park now in midfield. He uses the width of the field. Sent forward. West has it again now. It's gone back. Northwest Grads working it around nicely. It's been stolen by Dylan Salt though. John O'Salt to take it, his brother.
I don't think the signs are very good at the moment for OHA, Martin. Most of the possession has been with Northwest Grads. They've got 63% of the play so far, and it's all been in the wrong half for OHA.
Morton attempts to send it forward there, but it's cleaned up by Peters. Peters will bring it back into play now.
That's the problem at the moment. That Northwest Grads are allowed too much free possession on their outletting, and OHA just aren't stepping up. There's been a couple of balls delivered straight to Marcus Richardson with no one near him, and the same with Michael Park.
Real pressure here. Looks like almost a certain goal, but...
Yep, I think that's the right decision. He's the danger man, there's no doubt about it, Sam McCambridge, and really just some silly errors at the back there defensively. This is where the problems have been caused for Northwest Grads, and we can see Sam McCambridge, just his strength there, and really Hamish McGregor out of position, swung his stick, and he's made contact halfway up Sam McCambridge's stick. So it's deemed as a deliberate breach inside the defensive circle, and prevented probably a certain goal. So umpire Dean Williams gives Sam McCambridge a real opportunity here.
McCambridge up against McGregor. We see him lining up, taking a few instructions there from Dean Williams. McCambridge now, and it's been deflected.
Yeah, it's a mind game sometimes, penalty strikes. Goalkeepers learn to deliberately sort of take as much time as they can to unsettle players, and really there was nothing in that stroke at all. It was very easy for a big fella like Hamish McGregor to make the save, and you know, he's a big fella, and when you look up, he can cover an awful lot of the net.
That'll be good for McGregor. He's, as we mentioned, leaked a couple of goals in recent weeks, so good for his confidence. Nice and early on to save one, particularly from a stroke. Daniel Sproul on screen now. Captain coach. Got a work to do. They haven't had a lot of the ball early on. He gets things underway, sends it straight to Morton. Morton sends it downfield, but to no one.
Yeah, that's untidy. Daniel won't be happy with that. There was no pressure at all. It was just a simple turnover.
Burke and Park combining in midfield. Lucas has it now. Lucas still in possession.
Oh, good skill.
Sends it back to Park. It was a good pass. He's gone out to West. West sends it forward. It's inside the circle. Burke's there. He's going to be able to take a shot, but it's been blown up before he got it away.
Well, the mistake that James Burke made there was he had to go for the hit. You know, what he needed to do was to keep his stick on the ball and actually push it into the net. He didn't have the time to go through a full swing, and so really his shot selection there was the wrong one, and he paid the price. So good possession there, again drifting along the baseline, Marcus Richardson. So right now, don't take your stick off the ball, son. Keep it on the ball and push it right into the opposite corner. You don't have the time, and that's where attackers make mistakes, and really that's inexperience.
Probably was the best opportunity of the afternoon so far. Burke has it again now, the man we were just speaking about. Both sides have missed certain goals early on here. Perhaps a bit of nerves, because there is a lot riding on this. Burke again. He's got Lucas with him. Lucas still in possession. Lucas takes a shot from outside the circle. But
that was nearly a dangerous part in the game then, because Daniel Sprout, had he have broken away with possession then, he had a lot of space in front of him to run the ball, and he covers the ground pretty quickly. So the Northwest Grads defence could have been in trouble there.
Wolford with it now. He sends it forward. It'll be cleaned up at the back by Tim Stevens. Stevens with Budgeon has it now. Running into a bit of traffic there from Simon Moore. Sproul. McCambridge.
Yeah, good strength there from Dylan Salt. Up against a player there, Michael Park, who we know is very physical.
McCambridge in possession. He's flicked it in nicely, and it's a great goal.
Well, I'm sorry, Martin, but I still see some pretty big holes in the Northwest Grads at the moment, and that is a really good, evident example of it, because really just let him behind, And James Peters wasn't where he should have been. Tim Stevens wasn't where he should have been. And really, Hamish McGregor, he probably needed to come off his line quicker. There's the German, Nick Leslie. And well done, lad. And that's an example of how you should finish it. You don't need to hit the ball really hard. You don't need to take a big swing and telegraph what you're going to do. He kept a level head, and he just made a really good release into the side of the net.
Well constructed, well finished. So Northwest Grads with all the work to do. 1-0 here at the Tasmanian Hockey Centre in favour of OHA. Northwest Grads looking to come forward now and perhaps try and get that goal back nice and quickly. Often the best time, and we see it. It's wrapped up there. Looks like a penalty corner, but Williams, it came off his line there.
Well, the ball sort of the ball slipped underneath him, and you can see just a little pass there from Aaron Jacobson, and it's basically fallen underneath Aaron Williams. So he's obstructed Northwest Grads from getting at the ball, and therefore umpire Brian Knight awards a penalty corner. So at the moment, the headaches for OHA is certainly when Marcus Richardson gets along the baseline. He's getting too much ball along the baseline, and Aaron Williams, this is a big test for him.
So Richardson has sent it in for Northwest Grads. In it comes, it's trapped, taking the shot. Budgeon, it's missed it. In the end, West had to take the shot because Budgeon didn't get a stick anywhere near it.
Well, I wouldn't have thought that Stephen McMullen, the coach of Northwest Grads at the moment, would be very happy at all, because what he's seen so far is a stroke saved against them, conceded a soft goal, and now their penalty corners in attack aren't going well. And here's another opportunity.
Well saved by McGregor, though. It's been pinched, though. David Wolford sends it back inside the circle. Northwest Grads managed to get it out of the trouble, though. Sent down the line.
Well, I just can't get away from the fact that Northwest Grads at the moment, they've got a lot of work to do. Look at the speed there. This little change
just shut down Richardson, didn't he? He just absolutely stopped him dead in his tracks. So Park now looking to set up an attacking foray. Budgeon's been stopped in his tracks by a rugby union flanker there.
Well, he's a big fella, Nick Budgeon. Should be able to ride those. Simon Moore, he's made contact with the ball, but it was just the problem was the right shoulder.
It's been sent across, so Ben Florence will get on the end of a slow pass. He sends it inside the circle, but it'll be cleaned up.
Oh, good release there from Leslie as well. He's got McCambridge away.
Budgeon.
So this is where I'm not sure that Sam McCambridge made the right decision there. He had an opportunity to run the ball and run it in some essence, a slow defence. He could have tracked straight at Tim Stevens and utilised his pace. And in his day, Tim Stevens was quite quick, but he's been around now for a while, and Sam McCambridge has got that pace, so he should use it.
So we see McCambridge once again looking to stream forward there.
So there's no need for him to go through James Peters there. Just track the ball, drag it to your right-hand side, and just keep running space. There's no need for him to go through players.
Salt to Morton. Morton sends it forward. Bolton has it now. He's looking to come inside the circle. He gets inside. He's doing well. He's got around a couple of players. He sends it back. Can the shot get away?
He's got some toe in him, this kid, Angus Bolton. I like him.
So Park out to West. West just trundling down the sideline. Nice little 1-2 there. West still with it.
That's much better from Richard Headlam there. He's keeping it nice and simple. Like to see him just develop his possession game. Worked pretty well there with Toby in the 1-2s.
Florence showing strength there. So Park sends it forward.
Ooh, and Marcus Richardson's not happy with that. He knows that they're the sorts of balls that when they arrive, and he actually traps them, so you can see how angry he is about that. He knows that had he received that ball, he had really opened himself up for a good quality goal shot there, but wasn't able to receive it well enough.
We haven't seen as much of Richardson as perhaps we anticipated.
Well, he's not at his best, there's no doubt about that, but come finals time, he's always going to cause headaches for anyone. Most of the time, when he's at his best, he would have received that ball and probably would have had a good goal shot, and the chances are he would have converted it.
Salt sends it forward. Bolton has it again, but he's stripped of it.
The thing I like about Bolton, though, is he was prepared to take on Tim Stevens there. So his first thought in his mind is to try and challenge and try and eliminate someone. And really, that's what you want to see your strikers do. You want to see them actually try and challenge the deep defenders and work out early in the game whether or not they're good enough to tackle you.
Sproul has possession, assessing his options. He finds a foot, plays on. Coming ahead now is Wolford.
He's got caught there.
Wolford sends it forward. Pass was ineffective though. Budgeon will clean it up. Budgeon sends his own pass. He's found Burke. Burke on the sideline. 1-2 with Budgeon. Burke sends it forward. It's trapped nicely inside the circle, but Daniel Sproul there, he's trouble for the attackers, isn't he?
Well, he is. He's just mopping up at the moment, and he's using experience. He can read the game very well, he gets himself in the right spot at the right time, and he's got speed if he's not there early enough, and so he's got all the skills that's required.
Bolton sends it forward. Morton rather sent it forward for Leslie. Leslie's inside the circle. He did well to get around the defence there. Penalty corner.
Well, that's just way too easy. And Stephen McMullen, right at this point, as the coach of the Northwest Grads, he's got some major headaches, I would have thought, because that was very easy for Leslie. He just basically threw the ball in between Tim Stevens very easily, and then James Peters got caught, found his foot, and good opportunity here for OHA. But the reality for OHA is that they don't have a very powerful penalty corner flicker, so invariably they'll try and exploit a variation rather than a direct shot. But Nick Leslie, we know he can flick, but a good test for him now against the National Junior Squad goalkeeper in Hamish McGregor.
So Wolford to bring it in now for OHA. Penalty corner, he sends it in, it's trapped. Leslie leaves it, John O'Salt rather, to take it there. But a miss hit.
Yeah, and that's a problem for OHA. You're not going to get that many opportunities, and when you get them, you can't afford to waste them like that.
So Northwest Grads looking to counter punch. Back into play. Park has it in midfield, sends it across to Florence. Florence sends it forward. Picking it up there is Jacobson. Jacobson sends it in. It will be cleaned up by Salt.
Good ball.
Salt releases Leslie. Leslie's got a bit of space. He's got to get around Budgeon though. In the end he opts for the straight and direct route. McGregor getting off his line there to...
that was a little bit careless there from Sam McCambridge. Richard Headlam, he doesn't like that too often. Sam McCambridge has to be a bit careful. He's already got a green card. If he comes in there again, he might get a yellow card.
Lucas sent it across. Headlam with it. Taking his time, not rushing things. This is better.
And that's better from Headlam as well. He's possessing the ball.
Park now. Budgeon sends it forward. Salt got a stick in the way.
Yeah, at the moment, you sort of... a bit of a trend is really that pass is becoming from Budgeon into the attacking sort of area, looking for Richardson high. The problem for that is that I don't think that Northwest Grads at the moment have got enough midfield involvement.
Lucas in control inside the circle.
Here's he is, please, for Daniel. Says thanks very much.
Wolford with a miss hit there, sent straight to Richardson. Richardson inside the circle, takes a shot, and a great save there from Williams. You've got to admit to that really well.
Well, he did well, and look at the sun in his eyes. You can tell that not only did he have to make the save, but he had to contend with the sun in his eyes. And so really, Marcus Richardson really, what he probably shouldn't have done is hit the ball in the air. Some would say that he should have because the sun's there, but normally if he hit low, in that situation, you've got a better chance.
So another real opportunity there lost for Northwest Grads.
Yeah, but also signs of untightening for OHA, and that's creating the opportunities for Northwest Grads.
Leslie there, Budgeon sends it inside the circle. Chance for a shot now on the reverse, but mopped up. So Sproul springs on a loose ball. He tried to send it long. Bolton now. He runs into Burke.
Yeah, just untidy at the end there, Bolton.
Peters, Park, Budgeon, Burke. Burke back to Budgeon. Back to Park. Park lets it go. Florence will pick it up. Florence had an option infield. He used it with Lucas. Park sends it forward, but...
Well, this is the problem at the moment for Northwest Grads. A lot of the time when they're making those passes, Martin, into the attacking 25, they're just not finding the targets. And because they're continually turning it over, they're not getting the quality goal shot opportunities inside their attacking 25.
Well, their structure in midfield looks quite good, but as you say, once they really try and press forward, they seem to be in a bit of trouble.
Well, I'd like to see Warren Lucas actually try and challenge some of these deep defenders as a midfielder, and he's done that once or twice and got some penetration. Here's Nick Leslie, German player.
Out here on exchange for a year. There's Lucas, he sends it back. Stevens. Uses Peters. Peters back to Stevens. Stevens forward. Nice little 1-2. Stevens sends it forward, deflected for Florence. Florence sends it back in. Jacobson now. He's cut off in his tracks by Bolton by the looks of things. Bolton coming forward now. He had a lot of work to do. Stripped of it. Florence sends it down the line. Richardson is there. He's got to get around Sproul. Finds a foot. Lucas, Richardson inside the circle. John O'Sullivan.
Interesting to see Daniel Sproul there against Marcus Richardson. Just gave him the space and said, you beat me. All he's trying to do is just to stop the flow there, slow him up.
Stevens now sends it inside the circle. Doesn't find a stick on its way to the sideline. John O'Sullivan to bring it out of defence. Sproul now. What can he do? He looks up.
That was a great pass, and you could see the reaction of Daniel. He knew that he'd given a very good incisive pass there. Penetrations, well, I think that speaks volumes about the amount of possession that Northwest Grads have got, but they keep turning the ball over inside the attacking 25, but really keep turning it over.
They've yet to make any inroads on the scoreboard. As we mentioned, OHA 1, Northwest Grads 0. Northwest Grads on another attacking foray, again keeping control, but not making any real inroads there.
That's right. I was asked during the week, Martin, about Eddie Okinen. Why is it that he's such a good hockey player? And, you know, interesting there with the shots on goal, Northwest Grads 5 and OHA 4. So, again, that refers back to what I was saying a minute ago. They've had more penetrations, but they're just not basically having enough possession. Going back to what I was saying about Eddie Okinen, and you know, what makes him a good player? He's got so much flair and he's so quick, and basically he can stop and pivot on a 5-cent coin, and from a opposing defender's point of view, that makes him very hard to tackle against because he can change inside out very quickly, and we saw that in Rotterdam. In particular against Holland, and he basically won that game off his own stick, and so he's got such flair and such pace. That's what we want with our strikers.
Showing a bit of pace is Bolton, but he's brought down in the ends. Leslie, rather. Wolford sends it forward.
Yeah, I reckon Sam McCambridge there needs to not deflect that one. He should actually trap it and just roll off. We talk about receiving the ball and then rolling off your opponent. Probably that's what he needed to do there. He went for the deflection.
Richardson on screen now, but it's McCambridge who brings it back. The striker at the other end. He uses Daniel Sproul, who's pushed up. Sproul goes to Salt.
Oh, good roll.
Salt stripped of it, though. Probably tried a bit too much there. That's the sort of thing that we mentioned Eddie Okinen could probably do and get away with.
Well, that's right, and he rolled off very well, but the interesting part too, and that's the other part of Eddie Okinen, he actually gets more possession from his back tackling, and that's what we saw just then with Dylan Salt. You know, he's renowned as being one of the best defenders of all of the national team's forward group because he can work so hard. His aerobic engine's very big and he tackles very well. He used to play as a right half at one stage in his career, so he understands how to tackle as well, and that's important that forwards learn that skill.
So Wolford sends it back. It's with Salt now. Salt out to Morton. Morton with a bit of space on this sideline here. Still has possession. He sends it to McCambridge. McCambridge does well. Gets around one defender, but not two.
And to me, that's the big problem for Northwest Grads. We just saw it there, right there. That's the message in the bottle. Message in the bottle for Stephen McMullen is make sure your defenders get better at being able to attack. Look at that little change of direction. He's away, he's eliminated, and that's what we saw earlier in the game against Tim Stevens. Sam McCambridge, his change of pace, and that's what's catching at the moment Northwest Grads defenders off guard.
Peters may have been fortunate to get a stick to that to get McCambridge off the pill.
David Wolford stepping out. Simon Moore. Dylan Salt. Michael Park again trying to get the free hit there. Not awarded. Shakes his head.
Sproul to take it. He uses Morton. Morton uses Leslie.
Good strength.
Leslie under a fair bit of pressure there, but OHA will keep it, so Morton sends it back to Sproul. Sproul just strolling along on a Sunday afternoon there. He doesn't look too stressed at all, does he?
He brings that sort of calmness, doesn't he, to the whole defensive structure of OHA. When he's got the ball, you don't tend to worry too much, because you know if he makes an error, he's 9 times out of 10 he'll get it back anyway. But I think what he was looking for there, he was asking his midfielders whilst he had the ball to make those sorts of leads so he could make an easy release to them, but it just wasn't coming.
He was looking for a pass, a through ball there, I think, to try and create a bit of an opportunity for OHA to press home this 1-0 advantage that they have at the moment. Burke's on the recipient of a great toss there. It's inside the circle. He takes the shot, but it ends up flying into Salt.
Yep. Unfortunately for James Burke there, I think Graham Brennan might have got on the wrong line.
Salt sends it to Sproul. That's him on screen now. Daniel Sproul once again just strolling along. Another great pass. Morton couldn't quite get a stick to it though.
And I think that's an important skill for defenders. That when you are bringing the ball out of defence, you need to make sure that you hit it hard enough that it's not easy for the strikers in front of you, the opposing ones, to actually make it an easy trap. And he's just getting a little bit of air in the ball as well, which means that it's difficult for them to trap, but there's more of a chance that, you know, it will get through. Oh, that's the danger there.
Stevens did well in the end, really, to keep it. He releases Lucas. Burke pinches it off Salt. Salt to Budgeon. Leslie now.
He's got space.
Goal scorer. Nice little turn there. He gets it back in field. He's got Salt short. He helps to go back to Sproul though. Sproul to Jono Salt. Jono Salt using the width of the field. OHA pressing. It's gone back to Sproul. Sproul with acres of room here. He's pressing up. A great pass there. He's looking for Morton or perhaps Wolford.
Well, I like the fact that OHA are pushing Morton forward up the park. I think that's important. OHA are pressing their defenders forward as well. They can't camp back in the defensive zones.
Wolford with it now. He'll get a shot away on the reverse, but it's too high. He'll be disappointed with that. You can see it there on his face.
Yeah, he would be, because having got through, I think Warren Lucas there, one of the experienced defenders, which is unusual to see him eliminated as well. And so it's almost as if all of the Northwest Grads defenders at the moment, they need to go back to tackling school, because really they're just conceding too many soft penetrations.
So Northwest Grads to rebuild from their own half. Toby West does well to get around a few players there. It's sent forward. Burke was the intended recipient, but he didn't quite get it. So OHA restarts things. Nick Budgeon pounces on a loose ball. Great little deflection for Florence. Stevens sends it across to Budgeon.
The other thing I don't like about Northwest Grads at the moment is I just think that they're too narrow, and they need to actually think about spreading out a lot more, and they're getting all their numbers to the ball side, and basically when they get possession they're not spread out quick enough. And I think really Northwest Grads of the old, they'd have the confidence where they'd spread their players all over the park, because they knew they wouldn't be turning the ball over. And so maybe, you know, they're stacking the numbers close together because they've lost confidence.
So Headlam rolling forward now. Nice little turn to get inside Salt. He's inside the circle, but he doesn't quite get around Sproul.
Well, he picked the wrong man, and don't try and run through Daniel Sproul. I think that's the message. And Marcus Richards had got himself into a good position in depth, but really Headlam just couldn't get the ball to him. Graham Brennan being brought over by umpire Brian Knight. Budgeon looks on, wonders what's going on. Brian Knight now to saying Graham Brennan. I think something along the lines of keep your temper under control, let me worry about the umpiring and don't say anything.
Tone things down.
And the other thing, boys, he actually used the wrong side of his stick on that tackle. Was half the problem.
Well picked up, Vanessa. Eagle eye. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, I think Brian Knight wouldn't be too happy with that. There's no doubt about that. Not allowed to do that. Good skill from Jake Morton, clearing on his reverse.
Cambridge now sends it forward. He's got Leslie. Leslie's got a bit of time.
Well done from James Peters there. Nick Leslie made it a bit more difficult for him by taking the ball off the ground, challenging him basically with the ball in the air.
Wolford sends it inside the loose ball. There's a shot there, but it's a half-hearted one. And really no trouble at all for McGregor.
Good example of the desperation that I've seen in Cambridge. You know, the ball spills, and before you know it, and he's jumping and pouncing, and he's prepared to throw himself at anything inside the attacking circle. It's a real headache for opposition defenders.
Brennan now. Bit of loose, scrappy play in the middle of the ground.
Yeah, the ball came off a Northwest Grads attacker into the air, so the play was made dangerous. So umpire Brian Knight awarded OHA the free hit.
Well, back into play. Salt has it now. He's got Morton. He tried to use him, but he was cut off by Richardson. Lucas streaming ahead now. He's got Daniel Sproul to beat. He had Salt attacking him from the rear. Brennan with the chance now, but he mistraps it. Still got possession, though. In the end, he opts to go back and avoid running into Daniel Sproul.
Well, that's what I want to see Northwest Grads do more of. I think when they get Warren Lucas forward and they utilise his midfield capabilities to eliminate defenders, they're well positioned to get a better quality goal shot. And really, Graham Brennan should have trapped that and should have got a shot away. And again, I think for Stephen McMullen at the moment, I'm not sure that he's been sleeping very well over the last couple of weeks, because it looks like he might have a tough night sleeping tonight as well, because really pretty untidy from Northwest Grads so far.
That man once again mopping things up at the back. Daniel Sproul, we say it so often because that's what happens. He's an absolute rock.
Well, I think the smart thing about what Daniel's done is he's actually positioned himself well defensively. So he's mopping up from defence, and really he said, well, okay, I can't do everything. I'll fix up defensively, and he's sharing the responsibility in some regards amongst his team, which I think is a really good approach, because he has got some good players in his team, and he's giving them the confidence. Well, I've got confidence in you to do that job. I'll do my job back here, and really it's given a lot more shape and confidence to the way that they're playing now, OHA. And I think Daniel's showing the experience that he's got by just making sure he's making the right decisions as to how he should structure his team.
Another thing I've liked about his game today is those incisive passes. It's like a surgeon. He's just cutting them apart.
Yeah, and that's what you need to be able to do. And I think really this is the problem for Northwest Grads. When he's utilised those incisive passes, sometimes the Northwest Grads defenders have been found wanting.
They've been caught flat-footed on at least a couple of occasions today. So we'll see Wolford with possession. He unleashes Leslie. Leslie with a bit of work to do. He sends it back in field. It's with Salt. Salt's inside the circle. Can he get his shot away? No, he can't. So Brennan will pick things up. Nice little turn there. He's got to get around Morton. Morton gets the better of him.
Yeah, free hit, I think it was, of the OHA defender there. Good to see Graham Brennan try and eliminate his opposing defender, but just again a little bit untidy.
So Peters goes backwards. Uses Stevens. Stevens to Budgeon. Budgeon did well there. He's unleashed Lucas in midfield. Lucas gets around Salt with no problems at all. He's getting ahead, but his pass was in. really off target again.
Well, I think that Daniel Sparrow will probably have to talk to his team about that, because there's no doubt that when Warren Lucas gets free ball, he's in space inside the attacking 30, that he's the man at the moment that's generating a lot of the attacks for Northwest Grads, and so they'll have to man up on him a bit better than what they're currently doing.
Salt sent it forward, using the width of the field. It'll be picked up there by Hudson. Hudson stripped of it. Burke and Hudson there. Moore sends it back in field. It's gone down the line, but it'll go out over the back line.
Yeah, David Wolford was the intended target there, but just couldn't read the play from Dylan Salt.
You saw the arm thrown up. Sorry, mate.
That's it. Should have been there.
So Northwest Grads. James Peters sends it forward. It was a nice pass to Brennan. Brennan couldn't quite control it. Ben Florence does well to bring it back in, though. I think it might be a bit dangerous, though.
Yeah, I think really in some regards it was a nice... The direction was good, but I think James Peters really, he needs to hit that ball perfectly flat along the surface, so it's easy for the receiver to control. And in the end, the intended target, and Daniel Sproul there pointed about leading in behind his opponent there. That was another good incisive ball by Daniel, but not read by Angus Bolton.
Do you think that perhaps could be sometimes a problem when Daniel Sproul has played at such a high level? He's played at the highest level, but sometimes he gets ahead of his teammates?
Oh, I think in some regards you have to keep doing that, because really what he's trying to do, not only is he trying to make OHA play well, he's trying to build and grow good hockey players, and you've got to teach them. The only way of teaching them is throwing them in some regards into the deep end, and sort of then he will talk to Angus probably after this game and say, well, look, that's what I want you to do. And so he was an example where we could have exploited the Northwest Grads defence, and I think his approach is a good one, because he's trying to set a benchmark and asking them to come up to his standard rather than him drop down.
Tassie really is becoming known as a breeding ground. I mean, three Kookaburras at the moment. It's a pretty good reputation for such a small competition and state.
Well, it is, and I think Hockey Tasmania, have worked very hard to set up some good structures, as have Hockey South, and the facilities and the club's network, and really we are starting to punch above our weight, and so let's just hope that it continues.
Absolutely, as we see half-time. 1-0 to OHA. Northwest Grads with all the work to do in the second half. They haven't made things easy for themselves. That's been the story.
Well, Stephen McMullen, I think he'd have, as I said, he'd have some big concerns, because that man there, Nick Budgeon, he's been eliminated once or twice easily inside the defensive circle, and you can see there he's shaking his head, Stephen McMullen, and he's not happy, because he knows that there are still some issues defensively that they've got to address, and at the moment it's just some of their tackling. I don't think Warren Lucas has had enough of the ball inside the attacking 30. When he's gone, he's set up some really good plays, and I think at this point, really, unless they fix those defensive issues, they've got a really tough 35 minutes heading their way.
Do you think McMullen will be imploring perhaps Northwest Grads to really get their structures in place?
Well, I think in some regards it's structures, but it's also the technique. It's the technical aspect of when you're tackling, you don't rush in. You've got to be in the position before, so you don't have to rush in, and in some regards that's the issue that they've got at the moment, the tackling, and they're getting there too late.
Well, let's take a look at some of the statistics from the first 35 minutes this afternoon. Possession in the end it stayed in favour of Northwest Grads, 54% to 46%, but penetrations were the same. And
well, I think what we get from that is what we were saying during the first half. If you look at Northwest Grads, and they've had 16 penetrations, but from that they've only been able to create 6 shots on goal. And whereas OHA at the moment, when they're getting into their attacking 25, they're in a better position. They're better structured, and really they're capitalising on some of Northwest Grads' defenders being in a poor position.
Let's have a look at some of the highlights from the first half. This is the only goal, the Nick Leslie goal. It was a wonderful bit of work there by McCambridge to set Leslie up.
And that's the big problem. I mean, where was the Northwest Grads defender marking Nick Leslie?
Well, let's go down now to the OHA huddle and have a listen and see what's happening down there.
Or you're going to put yourself into the game. All right? So the toughness, don't let ourselves get taken out of this game by toughness. We've taken a few hard tackles and we had a little whinge. Don't whinge, get back into it, give it back to them, play it hard. All right, if the whole game's played hard, we're supporting each other, we're running off, you'll be right. You'll overrun this team.
There you have it. Pretty straightforward. He's telling them to stop whinging, to harden up, push forward, and we'll be right.
First half was Dylan. I mean, he got turned over.
Yeah, well, it's
was react, got back and put the pressure on.
Let's listen to see what Daniel says.
And that's great work. That's what we have to do all the time, not just once off, but all the time. And we see they're starting to get frustrated. Okay, so that's what we need to keep on doing. But it's been good at the back. We've been making some good decisions. What we talked about, you know, we're taking our time. We're not rushing it. It's been a lot better. We're going back and across the other side. You know, it's the way we want to play. So just keep that up. Just on this right-hand side, I think when I'm coming up, there's a lot of space there, as we know. So if we get someone, Wooly, sometimes I can, like you said, we can just post off, which has worked well, and then to Jake out there, which is working well.
Why don't get it early? I'm holding up.
I think that they.
But there is that room. So whoever's on the wing,
Wolford,
Gus
coming forward there, being released indeed by Sproul himself. He spoke about we're looking solid at the back.
Well, they use the term posting up, and a lot of people would say, what are you talking about? Posting up is where someone leads back to the ball, but what they do is they don't actually trap it. They can trap it, but they it's a quick one-time trap and then pass to the running player alongside them. So they use that as a conduit, if you want to call it, to actually receive the ball, but then pass it to the player who's running alongside them in the opposite direction. And so posting up is becoming quite common, but that shows you that, you know, Daniel's got the experience and he understands the game quite well and how to play it at an elite level. But this is the team at the moment. They've got all the headaches, and Stephen McMullen, really, I think he would be concerned about the last couple of weeks. And you know, we were talking a minute ago about you know, when's the last time that Northwest Grads lost 3 games in a row? Now this would be, you know, it wouldn't have happened very, very often that I can remember in the last few years.
I don't think it would have happened this season, to be honest. But let's head down now to Vanessa McDonald on the sideline. Seem to be having a bit of trouble.
They may not have enough on the bench at the moment to continue the run and the pressure that has been applied. So that is a major concern. On the other hand, Northwest Grads were really concerned that their defence is very, very reactive at the moment. They're trying to make sure that they push up on their lines, and when they are transferring the ball, Steve McMullen was very concerned because they believe they're too close together and they're very flat. The other thing that they really want to do is make the most of their chances. They've had opportunities up front. He believes they've had the most of the possession, but they just haven't utilised the ball well enough and really put pressure on the OHA's defence, particularly inside the circle. He's also said that he did speak to the team about getting Daniel Sproul out of the action, and they're tending to go towards him. He's a bit of a magnet at the moment. They're going one-on-ones with Daniel and they want to stay away from him. So he was quite animated, Stephen McMullen, and he really wanted these points. OHA very controlled in their speak, so it should be an interesting second half.
Thanks very much, Vanessa. Well, Macca, you called it. I think you predicted exactly what McMullen said.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, don't try and take on a dual Olympian at the moment who's still playing some pretty reasonable hockey. Don't run at him all the time. Don't let him stay involved in the game. But mind you, that's easier said than done, because what will end up happening is Daniel has set himself up with the structure of OHA where he can just drift, he can float. So in reality, he's almost playing like a sweeper. He's just drifting from wherever the ball is, from side to side, and just mopping up. So I don't know that they're going to be able to do that.
It would seem perhaps the Northwest Grads are trying to make it harder for themselves than they really should.
Well, I think that if they can build Warren Lucas into the play, if they can fix up what they're doing defensively and make sure that they're manning up, that really they've got all the skills, but also what they need to address is their forward passing inside the attacking 30.
Fully hope that we can see some of that put into action in this second half. Hopefully things will liven up a bit. We've become used to seeing so many goals here at the Tasmanian Hockey Centre that this isn't adhering to the script, really.
No, it's not, but the signs have been there for Northwest Grads, and so you know, this is a real test for Stephen McMullen and the Northwest Grads team.
So we see Northwest Grads get things underway again this afternoon. So Budgeon with the toss, there it is. Perhaps that was something he was told at half-time. Controlled nicely by Sproul and blasted over the black line there. It's a nice shot.
Yeah, he's
going for a boundary.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's played a great deal of cricket in his time, but that's typical Daniel, though. Get it out of there.
Budgeon feigning the toss. In the end, he goes short. Ineffective, really, because he's been stripped of it. So Northwest Grads with a free hit.
Oh, that hurts.
Salt has possession now. Wolford missed it. So Warren Lucas using the sideline to his advantage, but in the end Wolford did well, got his stick around the body. Park in midfield. Goes back to Budgeon. Budgeon got to stick to it just. He will keep it in play. So Budgeon goes short. Headlam sent it back to Budgeon. Budgeon across the park. So Northwest Gradstone really being a bit pinned down a bit there.
Yeah, they're a bit untidy as well.
Northwest Grads maintaining possession here. Not really going anywhere with it though. They seem to be struggling to get around the defence. Perhaps that was something Daniel Sproul urged his team to get on with. In fact, we did hear him mention the defence and that it had been good. So they've taken a leaf from their skipper's book, OHA. Sent forward, go out over the back line.
Yeah, and again, it's not finding the target. There doesn't seem to be a real great deal of cohesion at the moment with Northwest Grads when they make their forays forward. Aaron Williams, the goalkeeper for OHA, he'd be happy. The sun's no longer in his eyes. But at the other end, Hamish McGregor, he's got his arm up trying to cover his eyes because that sun is straight into his eyes. So difficult for him too if they have some penalty corners against.
Morton on that far side loses his stick. And there you can see Hamish McGregor. But it's back with Wolford. Wolford sends it long. No one gets a stick on it.
You can see the tape on his helmet there, trying his eyes, acting almost like a hat. Oh, good drag.
Bolton now, he'll get inside the circle of Willie. Second effort. Headlam stole it from him. There it is, the tape.
Yeah, we'll see how it just gives some shade to the eyes, which is important. And it makes it a bit easier. You don't have to put your hand up or your glove up the whole time to protect your eyes. We have talked earlier about Aaron Williams needing to do exactly the same, but he hasn't. Well, good work from Dylan Salt. And again, the trouble there, that's the trouble for Northwest Grads, because really, had that ball been flat, David Wolford had drifted into space. He'd ghosted into a position where he was in space with no Northwest Grads defender near him. Now, that's the message that Stephen McMullen, I'm sure, is trying to address at the moment. But it seems to me as if the message is not getting through.
Wolford brings it back into play. Sends it back. Sproul has it now.
Good work from Dylan Salt there, just rolls off. So again, just some good composure there at the moment from OHA.
The defence has been up to it in this second half. Salt gets things underway once again, releases more under pressure from West. Well done by West. Richardson has it in midfield. West is streaming forward. He's got the option. Marcus Richardson sends it left though. It's inside. Shot was there, but in the end, there was no power on it.
Well, I think there was good work from Aaron Williams. Came off his line, he needed to. But the important thing here from a defender, notice how Daniel Sproul didn't rush out. And because he didn't rush out, basically it didn't allow them to walk in and have a big, easy hit at goal. So they were forced to push the ball towards it, and then it meant that Aaron Williams had a bit more time, a bit more of an opportunity to see the ball.
Reflexes from Budgeon to pick it up there. He uses West. West sends it infield. Headlam streaming forward. He's inside. He'll get a shot away, but a great save there. That is fantastic.
That is an awesome save, that one. That had an awful lot on it. And Richard Headlam can hit the ball very hard. And Daniel Sprout got out of the way of that one, which he should have. That's the right-hand glove save of Aaron Williams. Well, that's a match-saving. That's a match-saving, save really in many regards, because really the reflexes required there were just enormous.
OHA will get their tails up from that. There's no doubt about it. Fantastic reflexes.
Well, I would have thought that'd be on the highlights reel, Martin.
Absolutely. Williams would be happy with that. There he is. He's got a bit more work to do here as Budgeon gets inside the circle, though. He sends it forward. A shot there. But just wide, I think it was. Or did Morton get rid of it?
Well, I think Morton was there at the right spot, and you'll see here Budgeon just a quick little release and clever little pass there from Marcus Richardson, but Morton had just got there at the nick of time to prevent the ball being knocked straight back into an open net. So good work from Morton. So we've had a match-saving save, if you want to call it, from both not only Aaron Williams but also from Jake Morton, 2 in a row.
Morton has looked pretty reasonable too. I've been impressed with him today. He's made some incisive runs.
I like to see him getting forward, and I think that's important, as I've said beforehand, about defenders. They want to be not only count themselves as a defender, but they want to be proactive inside the attacking 50, and he's done that today.
Another defender for OHA is Salt. He attempts to dive and knock it onto a teammate, but not to be. In the end, it's Jacobson who's got it. He's coming forward. He's under a fair bit of pressure there, though. Yeah, that's a very untidy tackle from Nick Leslie. Just sort of swished at the ball. We sometimes refer to it as a swisho type tackle. And you need more care there. Headlam sends it inside.
Tackle. Very good tackle there. Oh, I don't know about that. Mind you,
perhaps a little bit unlucky.
It happened pretty quickly, so I might have missed the first one. Just there.
Nothing wrong with the first one.
I think it might have been. I think, to be fair with Dean Williams there, I think I made an error. Certainly Dylan Salt, first tackle there, was from behind and he made stick contact. So good decision, Dean Williams. You proved me wrong again.
Admittedly, they're a lot closer than us.
Well, I'll keep looking for the next one, though.
That's right. We'll catch them out. Don't worry about that. So Richardson descended in here. Northwest Grads penalty corner. Richardson sends it in. It's been trapped. It's taken. Shots away and a great save again. Once again, Williams, he's been on fire.
Well, double battery there. Different sort of setup than we've seen Northwest Grads employ for a while. And you can see the ball goes wide, so it's coming in at a different angle. But really, the height that it came in at was very easy for Aaron Williams. And just, it really didn't have to move too much at all. See the helmets that the players wear on the post there? Those white face masks. Protect their face, especially when you've got 2 good penalty corner flickers against you. I'd encourage all teams to use those.
Yeah, it's good to see them safety first. So Morton under pressure from Richardson, but he'll retain possession, bring it back into play. Sproul will take it. Sproul sends it along the ground.
Yeah, he's just looking to clear the ball there. You'll notice again that he hit the ball pretty hard. It was just a little bit elevated.
Salt tussling there with Park. Park on screen now.
Well, you can sort of sense, Martin, a bit of a change in the trend of the game because Northwest Grads now have had a fair bit of possession inside the attacking 25.
From Budgeon there to find a foot.
So I think really now this is the time when OHA want to get the ball and just send it to the other end because we wouldn't want to defend for too much longer. It won't be long before Northwest Grads create a good opportunity.
It's inside, shot on the reverse, another save. Aaron Williams, he's had all the work to do this afternoon. He's on fire though, he hasn't let any in.
Well, I'm sure that his father will be watching the video of this later tonight. Martin Williams, the manager of the Tassie Tigers, look at this shot. And really the ball's taken a bit of a deflection off Dylan Salt there, off his stick, but the speed of the shot there of Marcus Richardson. But Aaron Williams, he'll have this on his highlights reel. Don't worry about that later tonight. There'll be family all sitting around the table watching this game.
Possibly having a few celebratory beverages too.
Well, his father will certainly do that, I'm sure.
So Northwest Grads still on this attacking press. Shot on the reverse from Brennan, but it didn't find the ball in the end. So a real opportunity now for OHA's McCambridge.
He's too quick.
He is very quick. He's got it to forward. He's got an option inside the circle in Bolton. But McCambridge, can he get it in? He does well. He gets inside the circle. Leslie is there as well. Leslie's shot after the whistle, so...
Yep, dangerous. Sometimes you see players do that, and you shouldn't do that. And umpire Brian Knight straight onto it, and just tried to get his way through, tried to burrow his way through, looking to try and find a foot and force the penalty corner, but not able to do so. And you can see the tackle there behind, so that's why there's a free hit straight away, and there's no need there for Nick Leslie to take that shot, because sometimes players move to the ball pretty quickly.
All sorts of trouble here as McCambridge picks up on a loose pass, but it's Stevens has cleaned it up nicely. So Stevens with a lot of room and no doubt breathing a sigh of relief there. Real opportunity for McCambridge. Leslie trying to pinch it.
Yeah, but that's untidy again from Nick Leslie because you're letting Richard Headlam off the hook there, and you're just rushing in, and really he needs a bit more composure there.
Salt sending another one over the boundary this time.
Well, as long as they don't send him on top of the new facility, Martin, I'm sure that the centre manager will be okay with it.
We will too, as long as they don't hit them up here.
No, that's right.
So Budgeon using the width of the field.
Ooh, dangerous, that hurts.
Wolford's got it. I think it was on his shin. Stings.
Good quick release there, keeping the play, shifting.
Budgeon will have enough pace to get there. He goes short. Back in midfield now. Sends it in, but Sproul picks it up. Sproul with all the time in the world. Mackie. Salt has it now. That's Bolton, rather.
Yeah, good work from Tim Stevens there. The error that Angus Bolton is making is that when he's challenging Tim Stevens, he's trying to run through him. He would be better off running around him rather than trying to go through him and utilise his pace. But I like his fortitude to go forward, but I just think there's a better way of doing it.
Stevens sends it back to Budgeon. Budgeon keeps it under control. Sends it wide. It's out with Peters.
Well, this is a massive game for OHA, and you can see in their focus, you can see in their bench, they're all up a bit tight. They know the importance of this game because really it could be the difference between them playing Derwent in the semi-final versus playing Northwest Grads again. I know who I'd rather play.
Certainly know who I'd rather play too, and that wouldn't be Derwent.
That's right.
Budgeon goes short. Back to Budgeon now. He'll toss it. Trapped though.
That was only 50 yards, that one. Not his normal 75.
That's right. Morton for OHA now. Sends it forward. Salt flicks it on. McCambridge is there. Couldn't get a stick to it. So Dylan Salt to restart things. He's waiting for his teammates to get in position. Uses Morton. Morton a sneaky little run behind the defender. Morton still with possession inside the circle. He's bringing it along inside the back line.
Well, I laugh, I shouldn't, but it was almost like an arrogant little sort of, disguise by Dylan Salt, which has found, again, the Northwest Grads defence looking a little bit silly.
West. Stevens now. It's gone back. Peters sends it forward. That was Park who sent it to Burke. Burke flicks it on, but it'll go out of play.
Well, that's untidy. Again, a cause of concern, I would have thought, for Stephen McMullen. And just look at the little jinking behind there. And good little skill. And just a little bit of nasty stuff there. But James Peters comes up with the free hit.
It's OHA on the attacking press now. Sent infield to Sproul. He's got it in midfield. Uses Morton. Morton shows good desperation, but in the end couldn't keep it in play.
Well, I think OHA have started to lose their way a little bit inside the attacking 40. I think Sam McCambridge needs to present a bit more now. He's just starting to drift out of the game a little bit. And I think, especially when there's a delay in play, he needs to be the player that's the go-to player. And he needs to be a bit more industrious by presenting himself more and more throughout the game, especially in the last sort of 10 minutes or so. He really has to be busy.
So it's still 1-0 to OHA after 45 minutes of hockey here.
Daniel Sprout probably look for a 1 yard bunt here. He'll make a pass to his teammate close to him. There it is, 1 yard, and then he just gives it a good crunch.
Budgeon picked it up though and sends it straight inside the circle. Richardson was there. No shot.
Well, it's good work from Aaron Williams off his line again.
Burke goes backwards. Stevens will pick it up, but no, he won't. Messi.
Fraction untidy. Warren Lucas is the player there that really 9 times out of 10 you wouldn't expect him to mistrap the ball in that situation, but Aaron Williams again off his line quickly and he diffused the situation as quick as he could.
So penetrations for Northwest Grads have blown out. They're really pressing forward trying to get that goal. 23-15 in favour of Northwest Grads?
Well, we can certainly sense that Northwest Grads have got the ascendancy inside the attacking sort of 30 area because they've had so much play up there. But really, at the moment, where OHA is starting to fall down is that as they move the ball forward, they're turning the ball over too often, which is allowing the counter-attacks being set up by Northwest Grads to come into play.
So Headlam, midfield, nice little pass, but it'll be picked up in the end by Moore. Moore sends it forward. With it now is Bolton.
But again, he's going through players. He had a lot of space down towards the line, but he's tracking on an angle where he's making it more difficult for himself than he needs to.
Park on this sideline. Stripped of it by Mackie. Budgeon. Headlam. Sloppy stuff there. Budgeon having to do all the work to clean it up. He won't be happy about that. Budgeon sends it back. Stevens. Stevens uses Park in midfield. OHA on an attacking foray now. They're streaming forward. It's McCambridge in possession. He's inside the circle. McGregor was off his line there, but a shot could be taken here by Salt now. But Burke cleans it up. Not the defender you'd think that it'd be back there, but Northwest Grads putting everyone behind the ball there to try and save it, but
well, here comes the counter-attack, but it's again broken down. But what we saw beforehand is the pace of Sam McCambridge matched up against the Northwest Grads defence. And unfortunately at the moment, whenever Sam McCambridge makes a sortie forward, he's almost guaranteed of getting into the attacking circle. And I think that's the big problem at the moment for Northwest Grads.
Well, we've spoken so much about Northwest Grads. Do you think OHA are missing Jeremy Edwards, particularly in the second half?
Oh, they are, because he just adds another midfield link to them, and they're missing those midfield links, and he's got the ability to be able to make a number of good passes going forward, and at the moment they're being turned over, OHA, too much when they move into the attacking 40, so they can't defend, because if they do that against Northwest Grads, they'll concede a goal pretty soon.
We should mention that Edwards is in fact on an under-17s tour at the moment. That's why he's not out there today. But Northwest Grads, ball's inside the circle. It was sent in by Burke.
Yes, he's in South Africa at the moment. So the Australian under-17 schoolboys team.
Burke goes short. It's gone out though, so Burke will bring it back in once again. You can see some of the Burke goes short, it's inside the circle, but over the back line.
Well, interesting there, I mean, OHR are employing a 11-man defence basically inside their defensive 25, so that's a signal in some regards that, you know, they know how important this next 16 minutes are to the basic finals chances, and so they're not going to leave anything sort of unchecked, and so they're going to stack their defence, and that'll make it a bit more difficult for Northwest Grads.
Is 1-0 a big enough lead for OHA to protect?
I wouldn't have thought so, but you know, again, they're now employing all of their players behind the ball inside the defensive 25, but you can't defend. You need to make sure when you get the ball and go forward that you possess it. This is where Angus Bolton has to make a better decision like he has there. It was good. It was a good opportunity to get the ball to Nick Leslie, but the target just wasn't found.
And Leslie got forward well there, so we see Budgeon get around Bolton. Tossed forward. West will try and run onto it, as will Brennan, but neither will get there.
Well, I reckon what Daniel Sproul will be saying to his group now is that it's important for them to have a real intensity, especially when they lose the ball. They've got to chase, and everyone's got to participate in getting the ball back. So if they lose it, they've got to regain it as quick as they possibly can. And so I'm sure he'll be asking his forwards to work really hard.
Be interesting to see how things look from the sideline, whether one of these teams is tiring or not. We'll get Vanessa to check that out shortly.
Well, Martin, I'm right onto that at the moment. There was concern at half-time that they've had blowouts in the last 3 rounds against Northwest Grads because they're actually lacking numbers and quality of players to come on. So they're trying to really work hard, and they were very concerned at half-time about that issue.
There you have it. Right on the money. We didn't even have to ask her to check anything out at all. She's one step ahead of us. Thanks very much, Vanessa. Northwest Grads Sending it forward. Once again, no one at home.
Well, but the interesting thing there was that as soon as Michael Park got the ball, who was the person that confronted him? Daniel Sproul. So he's not marking. He's a free defender, so he's almost playing like a sweeper. And I think that's, as I've said earlier, a very good structure for them to play, because really, whenever there becomes a problem, whenever there's a danger, he's the player now who can step up or step out and really try and defuse the situation as quickly as possible.
He puts that pressure on and forces people into making early decisions, and sometimes they're not the right one.
Well, I think we heard Stephen McMullen and Vanessa talking about it at half-time, how his message to the Northwest Grads players was, let's not go through Daniel Sproul. But as I said, it's easier said than done.
So here we go, Northwest Grads pressing forward. It's cleaned up there, though. Nice little toss over the top.
Ooh, big tackle. It was the right one. Right decision by Brian Mark. The ball was put in the air deliberately by Sam McCambridge.
Things getting a little bit testy out there at the moment.
Surprise, surprise. Michael Park, Sam McCambridge, and Daniel Sproul involved.
It's good to see a bit of feeling out there. We just hope it doesn't boil over. Sproul unleashes Morton on that far sideline. He's in the corner there. McCambridge is there as well. He's still got it in play. He's got a lot of work to do. He had to get around Park.
Come on, Sam McCambridge, get back on task. That'll be the message from Daniel Sproul. Stop the complaining.
Do you think Sproul's copping a bit extra because he's former Northwest Grads veteran?
Oh, no, I think he's got the respect of every hockey player in Tasmania, if not Australia. So I really don't think that to them it's a major issue. They got some benefit from it. Vosti was there, you know what I mean? And now he's moving on to developing a coaching career as well. And I think it's good on him for throwing himself into the deep end and getting a taste of what it's like.
Absolutely. He's got a couple of young blokes that he's brought on quite well this season. With OHA, some of them, I suppose Morton is one. Leslie's another that he'd be looking after this season.
Well, I think that's the thing that he's trying to learn at the moment. Daniel's trying to work out how to get the most out of OHA, and when you're dealing with youth like Angus Bolton, sometimes there's a right way to deal with it, some way there's not, and that's part of the challenge for Daniel Sproul to learn how to really get the best out of them and push them, and that's part of coaching.
Picked up a couple of bronze medals in a couple of Olympics too, so he's played the game at the highest level.
Well, I think the other benefit too is he spent so much time with a wide range of different coaches, and so from each coach that's been involved with him, he picks bits and adds that to his overall coaching development.
Northwest Grads on an attacking 4-8 inside the circle now. Ball will be sent around, but it's high.
But it's high, but it's not dangerous. Because it didn't go anywhere near a Northwest Grads opponent, it wasn't deemed as dangerous, because it certainly wasn't dangerous to OHA, so it was good umpiring by Dean Williams.
Good stick skills there from Budgeon to get it inside the circle. He brought it down nicely.
The technical delegate, the TD, here's Warren Lucas, and you can see how it's really not made dangerous at all, because it's well umpired by Dean Williams. The TD at Beijing, Ken Reid, that's one of the things that frustrates him a lot when he sees umpires blow the ball because it's in the air. Just because it's in the air doesn't make it dangerous. It's only when it goes near players, and so it was well umpired by Dean Williams.
Short ball inside the circle. It's been blown up though.
Well, I think it was stick obstruction from behind and made contact with the opponent's stick first, and that's the reason why it was blown as stick obstruction. So Dean Williams awarded the free hit to OHA. I'm not sure that Northwest Grads were that happy with it.
Peters sends it across to Budgeon. Budgeon sends it forward. It's been flicked on. The intended target there was West, but he didn't get a stick to it. So Sproul for OHA. He's got Richardson breathing down his neck. He sends it out of play though, Sproul. Uncharacteristic.
Yeah, it was. And Jonathan Salt, I suppose, wasn't quite sure whether he was getting it or whether it was Jake Morton that was getting it, and there was some uncertainty, and that's probably what created the error.
Sent forward by Stevens. West got a stick on it. Trickled free. Sproul cleaning it up once again. Bolton now. He sends it down the line to Leslie. That's better. Leslie with a bit of time. He's streaming forward, but he's been stripped of it. He was double teamed there.
Well, good work from Warren Lucas there. See how he just rolled off his opponent? If he'd given an advantage there, then he would have been well and truly running at the deep defence of OHA. It's the ability that Warren Lucas has got. He's strong on the ball.
Morton. Got to beat Burke. Ends up dropping the shoulder into him, and Burke will get the free. Burke comes back. Sends it to Stevens. Stevens to Budgeon. Budgeon assessing his options. Goes down the line. It's well done there from Headlam. Budgeon sends it inside the circle. West there. He flicks it on. Shots away. Very close thing, but no goal.
It was a very close thing to an own goal because we had Jonathan Salt there. The shot came from, I think it was Toby West. So it's actually Warren Lucas takes a shot, and there is Jonathan Salt, and Marcus Richardson goes, well, mate, I'm supposed to do that, not you.
I think Salt will be breathing a heavy sigh of relief.
Well,
That's his brother. I'm sure he'll be ripping him about it.
Well, I'm sure he's prevented an absolute certain goal, because Marcus Richardson, in that situation, he'll put the ball in the net. Don't worry about that.
Ball inside the circle once again. Out over the back line, though.
Yeah, difficult one to deflect those ones when the ball come on that angle at you. You really have to open up your stick just so daintily so you can get the deflection away and on target.
And there's John O'Salt happy to send it down the other end of the pitch.
I think that's what they need to do, though, because they've defended for so long in this second half. And the reality is that you've got to every so often and put some pressure back on Northwest Grad's defence when they're outletting.
Headlam sends it back to Stevens. Stevens uses Burke. Burke, a nice little knock on. Peters now. Back to Burke. Good little skills there from Burke. He's stopped in his tracks. I think he may have copped a stick too.
Well, David Wolford, it's just a bit of a rush tackle. Marcus Richardson's certainly not happy with it, but you can see how he's played it in the air, but really it's just a one-handed little swing there from David Wolford, and he's probably lucky that he's not getting a yellow card, but Brian Knight probably giving him the advantage in the fact that the ball was played in the air by Northwest Grads. Stephen McMullen, you can see him shake his head in the background, the coach of Northwest Grads.
Perhaps thought it should have been a card. Stevens sends it across to Peters, and there's Burke now. You can tell he's been hurt. He's copped one on the knee. Salt turns it over. Morton wins it back, but it's won back again by Northwest Grads. It's inside the circle. Penalty corner.
Well, it's good work from Marcus Richardson and from James Peters. James Peters knew he had Marcus Richardson along the baseline, so he just slipped the ball. It was a look-away pass very quickly, and Marcus Richardson said, well, David Wolford's going to rush in at me here and wait for him to do so. He did, and he found his foot, so this is a big test now.
So we see Northwest Grads recovering on the sideline. Must have been a bit nastier than we thought initially, but his team, Northwest Grads, can score a goal here. There's a possibility for an equaliser. As we see Richardson getting ready to fling it in. And there it is, it comes in. It's going to be taken by Budgeon, flicks it on. West there, and there's the goal.
Well, Daniel Sprouse, what he's done, he's blowing time, because the first shot at goal in a penalty corner has to go below the backboard height. So here's the roll, and now watch. So the first, it's a hit. It's almost like a slap hit. So if it's deemed as being a slap hit from Marcus Richardson, then it must go below backboard height. If it's deemed as a deflection, then it can go above backboard height. But what is it? This is where there's a problem at the moment in hockey. Is it a goal? Yep, he's reversed it because he's deemed it as being such a big swing, a backswing by Marcus Richardson. He's deemed it now as a slap hit. For that reason, it was above the backboard, so therefore it's not allowed.
There you have it, the explanation. No goal. Dean Williams explaining things there to Headlam. He wouldn't be happy about it.
Well, the problem for us is that Daniel Sproul and Marcus Richardson, we were playing the Tassie Tigers versus Queensland in 2006 in the final. We were beaten in the final 1-0 by Queensland, and that exact penalty corner was used against us, and the goal was allowed.
So it all depends on the interpretation by the umpire. Dean Williams in the end deciding that one wasn't a goal. So it's still 1-0 to OHA.
By the way, Martin, thanks for bringing that up. I haven't slept since I've slept pretty well in the last year or so, but now that you've brought that up at 2006, hopefully I might have to have some sleeping pills tonight, because I tell you what, it still haunts me at night.
I know something else you can do to make you sleep. A couple of beers, you should be right. So we see OHA look to press forward. It was Wolford who sent it forward. He's released McCambridge. McCambridge is inside the circle. McGregor's off his line and it's gone underneath him.
Yep. He's a very strong ball carrier, Sam McCambridge, and you would have seen a little bit of body contact there from Tim Stevens. Now, most players that Tim Stevens would come up against, a little bit of a bump or a little bit of body contact, that'll be enough to unsettle them, but not Sam McCambridge. He stays on task, he's got good core strength, and he's able to get the ball underneath Hamish McGregor, and he earns a penalty corner.
Stevens appealing for something himself there, but I don't think Brian Knight was having any part of that.
Well, unfortunately for Tim Stevens, he's not the police at the moment. It's Brian Knight who's the police.
That's right.
He's the man with the whistle.
So Wolford descended in now. There it is. Ball's in. It's trapped. There's a fake there. Leslie's with it inside. He's gone back to... The ball's still loose there, but I think it's gone underneath McGregor once again.
Yeah, that's the problem when goalkeepers go to ground too early, and probably a little bit lucky there, Nick Leslie. And but the shot taken, and you can see how it goes underneath Hamish McGregor there. The problem for OHA, it's still the same one. In coming to finals, they'll need to do a lot better from their penalty corners. As at the moment, they just don't look like converting a goal.
So Wolford to bring it in once again. There it goes. Morton's gone forward. Salt to take it. It's away. It's underneath him again. You heard the call.
Yep, and as I said, you just don't see at this point in time that OHA have got the armoury that they need to have on penalty corners to force a conversion. You can see how the ball goes underneath, and the smart thing from Hamish McGregor was he didn't take his glove off the ball. He didn't take, in other words, he didn't take his hand away from the ball so he could slap it. He said, no, haven't got time to do that. And he kept his glove on the ball, which meant he conceded a penalty corner, but if he hadn't have...
Third time lucky, perhaps. Here we go. Again, it's a fake from Salt, and Leslie took the shot. Ball's dropped loose there. McCambridge has stayed on his feet, as has McGregor, the keeper.
Well, that was a good variation from OHA, and I think this is the way forward for them. They need to get better at their deflections, and good little one bunt to the left, and you can see how Angus Bolton, I think it is, just drifts in behind Tim Stevens, and by doing so, almost gets away the deflection.
So Leslie sends it forward. It's a reflection. Will be cleaned up. Perhaps not. Bolton once again.
Well, it's at the right end for A, with the clock reading, basically 3 minutes to go. This is where OHA want to keep it.
Absolutely. Northwest Grads want it at the other end. They've got all the work to do. It's been blown up again, though.
You'll notice now that Daniel will probably park himself a bit deeper inside the defensive zones, because if it be that there is any counter-attack, at least that he's not out of position and he can step up. What he needs to make sure he does here is bring Jake Morton, their right half, into a deep defensive position so he can also defend well and support.
So West sends it to Lucas. Lucas out to Burke. Burke gets around Wolford with the pass. Northwest Grad still on the attack, but it's been pinched by Salt. Penalty. It'll go back. Northwest Grad still on the attack. They've got about 2 minutes to find an equaliser. They've struggled all afternoon to do so. Burke gets around Salt. He gets inside the circle. You heard the clash of sticks there. No obstruction, though.
Yeah, Northwest Grads were looking for the free hit. Didn't come.
It's a poor pass. It'll be cleaned up at the back by Stevens, though. He'll get there. Sends it to Budgeon. Budgeon's got Leslie. Gets around him easily, though. Perhaps a bit of experience there.
Well, the mistake that OHA made there was that Nick Leslie was the one who ran out of the defensive zones. It really should have been Sam McCambridge, the man doing the work up front. And they just created an opportunity for Northwest Grads to get in.
Park. He'll take it. West positioning himself. Park sends it in. Burke's there. He's under pressure from Salt by the looks of things.
Well, good tackle from Jake Morton. Really had to make sure he protected his feet there. James Burke was just looking to try and force a penalty corner. Wasn't able to find the foot. The pressure's all now with Northwest Grads.
Stevens. Can they find a last-minute goal? Good pressure there. Well done by Simon Moore.
Well, Daniel Sproul, you heard Vanessa say in the intro about how he was at least wanting to try and get 1 point. Well, at this point in time, they look like picking up 3.
He'd be happy with that. It'll take them above Uni until Uni play. Park. Pass on the reverse. Sent out of there, though. So just seconds remaining now for Northwest Grads, and you can see the urgency. West sending it forward nice and quickly. Salt was there attempting to cut it off.
This is where Sam McCambridge needs to make sure he plays his defensive role. He can't play up high. They've got Nick Leslie too high as well.
Ball's inside the circle, perhaps the last chance for Northwest Grads. Free hit. It'll go the way of OHA, and they won't be in any hurry to take this. As we see John O'Salt slowing things down nicely. He takes the shot, sends it long. He'll be happy to send it out of there. And that could well be the ball game.
Well, it could be. It's important here that OHA don't rush out too high for them.
Stevens. Crossfield finds Budgeon. Budgeon to West. West down the sideline, gets over the halfway mark, flicks it back onto Budgeon. Budgeon with a bit of work to do, does well though. Lucas was there. The ball's been flicked out.
Good tackle there from Sam McCambridge. Needs to be careful tackling like that against Michael Park.
Park's a nice, big, strong man himself. He sends it out over the back line though. Didn't find a stick on its way forward. Burke sends it in. A lot of urgency about him in there. You hear the siren. Final whistle. 1-0 to OHA. Perhaps not the result we were expecting.
Well, the question you asked me earlier today was, has Northwest Grads got the wobbles? Well, I think it's official now. They do have the wobbles, and Stephen McMullen, he's got a few headaches.
There he is.
And he wouldn't be a very happy man. And poor old Stephen McMullen, you see the scar on his face there. He was coaching the Northwest Grads players on Thursday night, and the ball flared up and hit him in the above the eyebrow there. So he got a couple of stitches there for that, and then he turns up today and he gets beaten by OHA. So he's having a dirty week, I would have thought, Martin.
I think you're right. He wouldn't be very happy with the way things are proceeding at the moment, as we see the teams wandering off there. So a performance by OHA in the second half. Their defence was really... They did get a lot of people back behind the ball, but in the end that 1-0 lead was enough to protect. The one goal by Nick Leslie in the 10th minute was enough.
Well, I think Aaron Williams, if we were talking about best players today, you'd have to have Daniel Sproul in there, but I wouldn't have thought there are going to be too many people which will argue against me saying that Aaron Williams shouldn't at least get one vote, because he made some very crucial saves, and really he set up with his good saving a very well-earned good win.
Well, let's head down now to Vanessa on the sideline, who's with Sam McCambridge.
Yes, I have Sam with me, and he's a very happy man. Gee, Sam, you had to work hard for that, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Everyone ran out their guts today, and I thought boys really stepped up after our last game last week against Wales, where we had a draw and didn't play our best hockey, but definitely stepped up today.
And what does a win mean? I mean, Daniel spoke at halftime saying that he wanted at least 1 point out of this match. So what does that do come finals time?
Well, I think we need 1 more point out of our last 3 matches to cement our spot in the finals. So I think we're safe now, and be up to us playing against Union next week to see how they go.
Excellent, and I thought Aaron played extremely well in goals, and he was a bit of a rubber man today, a couple of great reflex saves.
Oh, I can't believe how many he saved today. Probably, I reckon, his best game of the year. Spoke to him just before, and he said he didn't want to waste his clean sheet last week, so definitely saved it for this week and played outstanding today, really well.
And what was the message at half-time? Obviously, I thought Northwest Grads were under a lot of pressuring you a lot, and you had to rely on your quick reflexes and pace moving forward to get out of trouble, out of defence.
Yeah, we were just calmed down a bit. We sort of rushed a bit in that first half, but just basically keep the basics up and every now and then just hold it back, keep possession and go from there.
Excellent. Well, congratulations, Sam. A hard-fought win today, but good for the finals for you.
Definitely. Thanks very much.
Well, there you have it. Sam McCambridge pretty happy with a win, setting themselves up. Let's have a look at some of the statistics from full-time. As we said, 1-0 to OHA. Possession heavily in favour of Northwest Grads, Macca.
Well, you just can't believe that stat, can you? When you look at the word penetrations there and you look to Northwest Grads, 35. And how many goals have they got? None. That is absolutely amazing for Northwest Grads, and this is the biggest problem I've seen Northwest Grads have for some time, and they will be having to work very hard, and they'll have to ask themselves some pretty big questions, because at the moment, OHA, we heard Sam McCambridge talk to Vanessa and say about, well, we want to get into the finals. Well, I would have thought that you're in the finals and your focus has changed now. What you want to do is you want to make sure you play Northwest Grads again in the semi-finals, and I think they've got a chance of doing so.
Macca, you spoke to me a couple of weeks ago and you said that Northwest Grads and Derwent really were the teams to beat. Perhaps does this change your mind today?
Well, I think we're seeing a change here. I think we're seeing a trend at this point in time where you'd say it's not good for Northwest Grads, but it's emerging for OHA, and so maybe OHA are the Smokies.
Well, there you have it. Northwest grads with a bit of the yips today. I really think the problem for them today was just their finishing. I mean, as we saw it, they had the possession, they had 11 shots on goal, but they just couldn't put it in the back of the net.
Got to agree.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's have a look now at what we can look forward to next week. Next Saturday, men's hockey, Derwent. Competition leaders at the moment up against Canterbury. You'd think that they'd be up for a win there, Macca.
Well, Canterbury beat Northwest grads last week, so you never know. It could be real fireworks.
Well, you never know. Let's have a look, and we hope you can join us next week on Grandstand Hockey. I'm Martin Cudahy. Thanks, Andrew McDonald, for your company. See you next week.